Hello everyone. I know if you're a Jehovah Witness or just a person learning about Jehovah Witnesses. This video I'm making is going to be different, and it's going to show who's the ones that controlling the watchtower. Is it Jehovah God, or is it the 8 men of the governing body? Because a long time ago, Charles T. Russell formed an organization in Pennsylvania, and they moved from Pennsylvania to New York City, and now from New York City, from these buildings, they moved their headquarters in a different location. The reason I'm bringing this out is because the governing body has put in their website something very interesting that I downloaded about their direction of building a new headquarters and abandoned these, which other people bought these buildings to turn into offices or motels or whatever they was going to do with these. And they have this on there. This is our new home base. This piece of property here, they bought a while back ago, and they're building the new headquarters, living quarters, and all kinds of different buildings and stuff. But the question is, who directed these? Here's a part of some of the buildings. Who directed these men? Total, there's 8 men. One of them, I kind of cut his face a little bit off, or maybe more of his face. Who directed these men to move the headquarters? Was it Jehovah God directed them? Or was it these 8 men sat down one day and said, hey, I think we need to move our location from one place to another. Now, you got to think about something, that these buildings was already bought, paid for, and there was nothing was wrong with them or anything. So why would Jehovah God tell them or directing them to move out of this area when everything, supposed to be go on the preaching work, all the money that they get from the witnesses to do the preaching work, publishing the new magazines, the books, the literature, and the brand spanking new Bibles? Why would they give up these buildings? So like to me, they would have kept them, and they could have made the preaching work from one area of New York and keep this area open to keep everything up and running. Well, they didn't. They sold all the property. And I downloaded a audio from their website, and I'd like to share it with you and break it down to what I got out of it, so you can hear the words they say, what they think that happened, why they moved.
Moving the headquarters is monumental. It's a historic event, and we can read about history, but for us to live at this time, to be a part of it, as history is being written, it's so exciting.
I would consider just as significant as the move of the brothers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to the city of churches, Brooklyn, and even more significant.
If we look at the history of those taking the lead, they've never been sentimental toward material things. They were willing to move the headquarters from Pennsylvania to New York. They've been willing to sell buildings. They've been willing to buy buildings. See, they're always thinking, well, what's best for kingdom interests? We're not attached to anything material.
From the very onset, the governing body was unanimous after we did...
Okay, what you just heard, the governing body unanimous. They sat down at a table and discussed, should we stay in New York or should we put the watchtower in a different location? So there's nothing here, what you just had here, about them being directed by their God Jehovah to move the headquarters. This was their own choosing.
Search for properties where we could build headquarters. This property at Warwick would be the very best of all.
Yes, well, we see Jehovah's direction and the procedure from the beginning to where we are now, the way it's come together, the location of the property, the acquisition of Tuxedo.
The governing body is convinced that Jehovah is directing.
Okay, what you just heard, that they are convinced that Jehovah directed them to buy this piece of property to build the new headquarters. Now, if all the money they're getting off the Jehovah Witnesses, of the preaching work and all of that, sounded to me Jehovah would have had that money put in a different area to, how you could say, keep the preaching work to go worldwide more than having them build the new headquarters someplace else, in which that's taking time away from the preaching work that's supposed to be more critical, and it's supposed to be done all over the earth before the end comes. That's what I was taught. So why would Jehovah direct them to move the headquarters? Which is more important? You got headquarters, it's already been built. It's already been done with everything that they needed in this place. Why would Jehovah direct them to move the headquarters to a different location and take time and energy away from them doing the preaching work, which is more critical for to get all the people to become Jehovah's Witnesses? That wouldn't make no sense.
That the world headquarters be moved to Warwick. We're absolutely convinced of that.
And going back, they are more convinced.
Is convinced that Jehovah is directing that the world headquarters be moved to Warwick. We're absolutely convinced of that.
Together, the location of the property, the acquisition of Tuxedo.
The governing body is convinced that Jehovah is directing that the world headquarters be moved to Warwick. We're absolutely convinced of that.
Okay. Now I got a question. Now, how do we know we're getting our spiritual food from Jehovah if are they convinced they're getting their information from Jehovah? Or could they be getting their information from Satan? Because if you don't know what source of you're getting your information from, they could get their spiritual food from Satan or their God Jehovah, or could Jehovah, since it is a man-made name that the Catholics made up a long time ago, could be Jehovah, could be Satan? Because why would the Creator or the true God would have put aside his preaching work, sort of, to build a new headquarters someplace else when the other headquarters was already built? So people, this is something you need to think about. Why would they say we're convinced, and the governing body is convinced that Jehovah was directing them? You would have to be a fool to even say something like that. Because you know, if Jehovah tells you point blank, I want you to move to headquarters, or point blank, this spiritual food I'm sending you, I want you to publish it worldwide. Now, this is a proof right here. If they're not even sure their God Jehovah want them to move from New York City to Warwick, New York, to how do you know, people, that your spiritual food from the watchtower is being truthful? And what source really it comes from? Because truthfully, I found out all the books and literature that I found, and I saw it for my own self, written by the governing body, co-publisher, they claim that it is from Jehovah God, all this information from. And you know what the information I found? I was raised coming to the truth in 1970. And when I finally got my mind and eyes open, I remember 1975. That something was going to happen. I remember they was talking about people selling their homes. And the watchtower was trying to convince that, you know, that was not their doing. That was people just thought the world was going to end. So they was going to sell their homes, keep preaching till 1975 to walk into the new system. Why would thousands of people would do something like that when they got the authority information from the books and the publication? So if that kind of God is giving information to the governing body to produce those lies, he's the same one that's producing this lie for them to move the headquarters from one location to another location, which would make no sense at all. These men wanted to get out of that area because it was people knew that was a good location to protest about these men, this watchtower, that destroy families